Hi, welcome one and welcome all to my review of the HTC Arrive. I am Brad with UnwiredView.com, and here is the HTC Arrive that we're going to be showing off today. Now this one is the very first Windows Phone 7 device that you're going to find on a CDMA network, and it just so happens that it's on Sprint. Really tiny print there. There we go. Woo! Okay, we got it. Alright, now this one is different in a few ways. Granted, Windows Phone devices are all pretty much the same cookie cutter kind of phones, so HTC tries to find different ways to make theirs unique. This one here, it's got the full slide-out keyboard. Not necessarily a unique thing about it, but it does have a cool little slider mechanism that allows it to tilt up. So we're going to go in more depth on that. It also has the newest copy and paste update already pre-installed, so we're going to get into that as well, and just a few other general things that I really like about the phone and maybe not so much like about the phone. So let's get into it. Well, boys and girls, it's sharing time, and today I've brought the HTC Arrive for my show and tell presentation. The HTC Arrive is on Sprint and happens to be the very first Windows Phone 7 device on any CDMA network. So it's pretty significant, especially here in the US, because chances are we're going to start seeing a flood of new Windows Phone 7 devices coming out on Sprint and Verizon in the near future. So we're definitely keeping a close eye on that. In the meantime, this is actually a pretty feature-laden device. It's got all the standards for Windows Phone 7 and a few enhancements to the overall design, and we cannot forget the Nodo update. Nodo is the first major update that Windows Phone 7 has seen. We're going to see another major update probably by the very end of the year, but this is the update that came out with the copy and paste, and that's a pretty important update. So we're going to go over that as well as a few other things here. First off, just taking a look at the overall design. Now this is very stereotypical HTC. Now let's zoom in a little bit here and I'll show you exactly what I mean. It's a 3.6-inch display. It's an LCD display, which means it's not QHD, Super LCD, Super AMOLED, Retina display, anything like that. It's not going to be the high-res display. If you are a connoisseur of high-end displays, you're going to be disappointed. But if you are not, then you may not even notice a difference. The colors on this are still pretty deep, but I did notice that some of the deepest colors are a bit washed out, but not by much. So for me, the display works great. I can see everything crystal clear, and it's wonderful to play around with. Scrolling up and down, it has a 1 gigahertz processor in it, by the way, with 576 megs of RAM. So it's going to be making for a pretty quick device, especially the way that the way that Microsoft makes their Windows phones. They try to make it as efficient and as fast as possible, and so throwing in all these high-end components and nice processors make it even better. Looking through here, moving up and down, I can tell that the response time is very, very fast as I play around with it. So it's not lagging at all. That's always an important thing for me when I'm reviewing phones. So 3.6-inch display. Now on this, you can see the grills up here for the speaker, and then this grill down here for the mic. That's pretty much standard issue when it comes to HTC. HTC likes to do that kind of stuff in their high-end phones, and I actually really like the look of it. I love having those because you can't, when you look at it, you're not looking at it from afar and thinking, oh man, those are the speakers, or oh, that's the mic. It's built in very nicely into the rest of the phone, and it's just all a seamless part of the design of the phone. Now this is a heavier device, thicker too. You're looking at 15.5 millimeters thick. When you compare that to an average smartphone, the average smartphone is probably around 10 or 11. So it is a bit thicker, and it is 6.5 ounces. So definitely on the heavier side. The main reason for that is because of the keyboard, the slide-out keyboard on this. And it's got a cool little mechanism to help it tilt up, which we're going to get to in just a second. But looking at this, you can tell with this entire package here, that's why it's heavier. And even though it's heavier, it's much like the HTC Shift that I played around with a few months ago, where it still was heavy and thick, just like this, and pretty much the same exact screen, but it was comfortable in the hand. It felt solid, and this one does too. So that's another important thing to keep in mind, is that this is a great solid feel, but it is heavier. So you must definitely take that into consideration if you're looking at buying the Arrive. A couple other side notes on the design and the hardware of the HTC Arrive. We have brushed aluminum on the back, right here for the battery cover, and then also soft rubber on the top and the bottom. So it is definitely a powerhouse here when it comes to durability. Of course, that's also contributing to the weight of the phone, but that's part of the give and take that you're going to have with a really durable phone. It's not going to be the lightest phone on the planet. So also, you just have standard plastic here on the sides, but still looks really, really nice. And it's very comfortable in the hand. Also, it has a 5 megapixel camera in it. There's no frontward facing camera like you would see on a lot of Android devices of today. The camera on the back does have HD video recording capabilities. It's 720p, and of course there's also the LED flash on there. A random little screw here, which is kind of a weird placing for it, but hey, if that's the worst thing about the design of the phone, I'm okay with that. The Arrive also is a dual mode CDMA, so it works on 2 frequencies on the CDMA network, but it is not global and it is not 4G. It does not have WiMAX in there. This may be a deal maker or breaker if you're looking for super fast speeds. This one here, it's not going to give you the 4G network. So definitely another thing to consider. And it's also not a global phone, so international travelers, you're out of luck on this one, by the way. No place for a SIM card, no GSM on there. So just plain simple CDMA. I would say the most unique aspect of the Arrive's design is the slider mechanism on this. I feel that HTC did a very clever job on designing this, and I give them a lot of props for it. So here's basically how it works. So when you slide it out, everything's all parallel, but then it catches on the end here. And you can see this part right here is more of a pivot. So hopefully we can get that in good lighting there. So that's a pivot that you can just move up and down like so, but it stays constantly tilted when you have it slid out. So there's no option like you saw on the original Tilt or HTC Touch Pro, where you could just choose whether or not it was slid up or parallel. On this one, it's just part of the mechanism. The pivot's always going to be up when you have it slid out. And then when you want to slide it in, you push it in so it's parallel, and then it slides right on at that point. Otherwise, it catches. So this particular mechanism, making it tilt, some people love it, some people hate it. I actually rather enjoy it because it gives me a few different angles at which I can type instead of having to worry about being straight on. Some people prefer it just being straight on and that's it. So, what's your particular style? It's really up to you.